And so it was that in the early hours of the morning, I found myself on the river Javary, traveling the 400 kilometers to Tres José, a Mayoruna village. I'm accompanied by Evandeque, an adventurous boat captain, his assistant, an Amerindian tribe tracker, and above all, Mowgli, a guide of Amerindian descent. Helped along by a 260 horsepower engine, we speed along at over 50 kilometers per hour. I'm told the journey will take 8 hours. The river Javary marks the border between Brazil on the left bank and Peru on the right. The funniest thing is that during the whole journey, we regularly cross from bank to bank, from one country to the other.
I'm called Mowgli, but my real name is Tony. I've worked on the Javary for 10 years. I'm a guide, because I know the Amerindian communities here. I know their cultures and traditions. So I regularly accompany tourists to the various villages. I am respected for my knowledge of their customs and practices. I'm of Amerindian origin, from the Mayoruna tribe, from a region on the border of Brazil and Colombia. Both my parents are from this tribe, but at the time of the last rubber boom, they were forced to flee to avoid being killed, as others had been. That's why I was born in Tabatinga, the last large Brazilian town on the border with Colombia.
Because of the loops in the river, we frequently save a few minutes on our journey time by taking shortcuts down certain natural canals. They are rarely used at this time of year, though, because the water levels are still low, and you can get a nasty surprise. I soon learned that unfortunate but enlightening lesson. First, a tree blocks our path. It takes over an hour to chop. My guide ventures into the water to check for any further obstacles. We finally set off again, but not very far. Another fallen tree, this time even bigger, blocks our path. We set to work, but without much conviction. Impatient, I ask if this is a frequent occurrence. The answer is yes. With my occasionally condescending Western attitude, I say, "Don't you think a chainsaw would be useful?" The slightly infuriated captain replies immediately, "We barely have enough to eat, so how do you propose we buy a chainsaw?" And so I learn another lesson. We've no choice but to turn around, and although we've lost a lot of time, I won't say another word. We get back to the Javary, but we still must search for the village. I'm told it has been moved because of land reforms. We eventually find it, and not before time, as I was worried we'd turn up at the tribe's settlement after nightfall. Not out of fear, but because I want to see as much as possible of these people and their lives. My first surprise is the way they dress. It's nothing like the Amazon I saw in my vision in the forest. I can't spend much time with the Mayoruna Indians, but I hope to gain at least an insight into their culture. The gods are on my side, because in one of the village huts, the local shaman is about to start work. Mowgli explains enthusiastically that the shaman is doing the job of a kinesiologist on one of the men from the tribe who has back pain. It's one of the shaman's regular roles, in addition to that of doctor.
Canta forte alguna coisa. Duro, duro. Como cigarro.
I imagine the pain is supposed to disappear thanks to the massage and the incantations. But on closer inspection, I realize that's not all. The shaman uses local herbs to blow on the patient's back and then inhales the pain, which he then spits out elsewhere. I don't know if the man will be healed, but the treatment continues for some time. Mowgli tells me that a more traditional and more important ritual is due to take place later this evening. The shaman has been asked to help one of the villagers who has lost his power to hunt and fish. In fact, he hasn't caught anything for several days. For this type of ritual, you need a patient, a shaman, a warrior from the tribe who is a great hunter and fisherman, and a toad that you've caught the night before. The warrior is believed to pass his powers on to the unfortunate who has lost them. First, he must inhale ayahuasca, a hallucinogenic powder highly prized by the Amerindians. This mysterious and powerfully psychoactive drug is the subject of great debate, much like peyote and LSD were in the days of Carlos Castaneda and Timothy Leary. The shaman burns small dots on the patient's skin so that it will easily absorb a white liquid extracted from a toad. It's with some alarm that I discovered that the liquid is in fact curare, used not so long ago to coat blowpipe darts and used to chase off or even kill intruders. It's quite a mystery, because the Amerindians were decimated by flu, but have always been immune to curare. For several hours after the ritual comes to an end, I remain in a sort of daze, full of wonder and lost in thought. I even find it hard getting to sleep in the hammock I'm given for the night. The only thing on my mind is to find out if the ayahuasca, the curare, and the incantations have done their job. Very early in the morning, I find myself watching the fisherman who'd been the center of the ritual the day before. And yes, it works. After a few fruitless attempts, and despite my incredulity, he succeeds in harpooning a fish. It's time for me to leave, to return to civilization, or rather, to my civilization.